Hi there, my name is Shekhar Maharaj and this is my first interview for my new short form, Hope. So, let's get started. First, T. Oh, you turn it around. It's a tad hot, but it's true. I'm in the title. Pardon me. Right. So, first question. Can you tell us what hope is about in my own words? Yes, I can. Thank you very much. Hope is exactly what the title says it is. It's about hope. It's about a kid who is in a really rough situation and learns to find hope to move forward and love life. And of course, find love and love somebody. Oh, I feel like I have my head on. I feel like I'm a bobblehead, you know? Anyway, next question. What inspired you to write the story and turn it into a short film? That's actually a really fun one. So, I love acting. I love films in general, but I really love acting. And that spark in me was reignited when I watched a very specific Netflix show a few years ago, and in 2022. And I was going about life making, my software and stuff. I'm a software engineer by trade, and I was going about that. But when that spark ignited, it sort of felt like a part of me was now being completed. And for a while, it's really hard to find acting work, just by the way, especially if you're in a country that is not the US. So it was really hard for me to find acting work, and I was almost losing hope that I could do this sort of thing, that I could fulfill this career. And that's when I started writing my own stories. And I wrote this really awesome story, which I still want to make, but I haven't yet. And I realized, I need to train this a lot more. And that's when I wrote Hope, a story about finding hope, inspired by me finding hope in writing, and obviously directing as well, and artwork, which I did myself, and still acting, which I think is really cool. So that's how this came about. I don't know if I answered that question correctly, but next question. What was the main message or feeling you wanted audiences to walk away with? Anything is possible. I wanted you to walk out of this short form feeling like, oh, so I can achieve this. I've personally felt, at some point in my life, felt that I could not achieve certain goals. And it took me a really long time to come to terms with the fact that I can achieve those goals. And it's up to me to do it, and to stand up for myself, and to do the thing, And I want people to walk out of this film, if with anything, at least just a few laughs and a little bit of love. That will do it for me. Okay, question 4. Why did you choose to frame the story as a conversation between the boy and the grandmother, rather than showing the school events straight through? So if you guys don't know, this short film is a bit trippy, at least from what I think I did to you guys. So the story starts with this kid, the character's name is Charlie. I don't think I mentioned that in the script at all, in the final version. But the kid's name is Charlie. He barges into his grandmother's house, and they know he has a bad day. So the story goes from there, his grandmother's house, backtracks to the school where supposedly the events, the bad day, happened. And a reason why I did that was because it's actually not that kid's bad day. The kid that you see entering the house, the grandmother's house, his name is Charlie. But it's not Charlie's bad day. It is actually a memory of his grandmother. And as she's remembering what happened to her as he tells his story, he tells his story and she remembers, and that's the flashback that you see, her memory of her bad day that led to this divine union and love. And that's why it goes in that particular way, because then in the end you see, yes, grandma had a bad day back then, but it led to grandpa, and then to this kid, Charlie, the main character, the supposed main character, being born, and so on and so forth, and they lived happily ever after. So it sort of ties in at the end. I don't know if I mushed that up a bit too much, but that's why I did that. Anyway, next question. 6. Oh. 5. What made you decide to reveal at the end that the school flashbacks were actually grandma's past? That's what you're saying. So, I decided that because I really didn't want this to be as straightforward. I got bullied, I fought the bully, I won, happily ever after. I wanted some room in there to, how can I say, to show that even if it's not going right for you in the exact moment, there are things in the past that have gone wrong but turned out right and led to you becoming who you are. Life is a series of good events and bad events, and what matters is that you take both and you move forward. And either way, it always leads to your happiness, or at least in this story. That's what I try to tell you guys. It does work out in the end. And I think doing the whole flashback thing really shows you that it did work out then, and it's going to work out now. And that's something that means a lot to me for. And that's why the flashback. Cup of tea. Wonderful. 5 roses, by the way. Right. 6. Bullying and injustice at school are heavy topics. How did you approach portraying them in a short film without overwhelming the audience? I made it stupid. Flat out just stupid. The bully has no depth. In fact, you'll notice his character is drawn specifically in the most basic, stupid shape possible. It's a square, or like some form of a square. Because people who bully others are squares. They're not special. They seem sturdy, but they can break very easily, and they're pretty basic. That's how I wanted to portray it without overwhelming the audience, because I don't want them to think too much about the bully. The goal of the story isn't to portray the bully as someone who has a dark background or who has a troubled past or anything like that. Yes, there are those cases, but this isn't that story. This is the story of overcoming the bully. And in any case, either way, dark story or not, a bully is just a square and a pretty basic person. My humblest of opinions. Anyway, 7. The moment where Charlie stands up for Jenny is pivotal. How did you want the audience to feel during that scene? So at first, when he initially stands up and says, "No, you wouldn't hit a girl, would you?" I want you to think, "Oh, dear God, this kid's gonna get his ass kicked again, isn't he? He's really gonna get his ass kicked again, isn't he?" And I want you to feel like how he felt. Like all hope is lost. And again, it is a short film, so I don't expect you to be like, I don't expect you to feel like that. But you get the idea. That's what you think is going to happen. All hope is gone. This kid's like timeout is gone. And then more so, when you get that feeling, I want you to see the color full up in him, and as he puts in that right hook and knocks the bully down, you get that essence of, oh, there is hope. And color plays a very big part in that scene as well. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that Next question, by the way. Okay. Even though Charlie defends himself, he still gets punished. Why is it important for me to include that outcome? Pardon. Too much tea. It's important for me to include that outcome because sometimes, even though you do what is right, bad things still happen. And that's okay. It's not right, but that's okay because it'll still work out. A good example is you could give a beggar some money, and you could later see that same beggar going and buying drugs with that same money. But the intention is that you did help somebody. And who knows, maybe the beggar bought the drugs and then threw them down the drain and went to get help. The idea is, even though you do some good, bad things can still happen. But that does not stop you. You still move forward. And you still grow, and you're still the awesome person that you are. Anyway, enough about that. That's next question. Crocheting and threads appear as a metaphor throughout the film. How did the symbolism influence the way I structured the story? Now, funny enough, when I first came up with the concept for the story, for the short, the whole idea of the film, ironically, weaved around crocheting. Because the idea is, no matter what you do in this world, in this universe, you will always go through and under and around and whatever crocheting is, and you can see why I didn't go with the concept. You always end up exactly where you need to be. Nothing that is meant for you will pass you. And that was the initial idea. It played a little bit of a role in the actual film, but not as big as I thought it would initially, purely because I don't really understand crocheting all that much. So I thought, if I don't understand it, leave it be. My head's, I'm like a bobblehead. Forgive me if I look like shit in this interview. And the bells. I like bells. I have them placed all around my house. Oh, it's my mom's bells. You know. Next question. The bully is never really punished on screen, yet the film still feels hopeful. Why is it important for me to not resolve that conflict in a traditional way? Because we don't care about the bully. Like we said before, he's square, he's basic. We don't care. It doesn't bother us. Whether he lives a happy life and becomes a millionaire, or whether he lives on the streets afterwards, or whether he just lives a normal life, we don't care. It's not Jeff's business, it's not Charlie's business, it's not Grandma's business. It's done. It's ended. You move on, you move forward. And that too with hope and with love. And that's why we don't explore it all that much. It's done. Cut it out. Next question. The montage spans a lifetime in a very short amount of time. How did you decide which moments to show and which to leave out? There are moments that I often think about in life that feel major to me. Meeting the person that you like, telling them how you feel, uniting with them for real, and living with them happily ever after. Those are moments I've thought about for a long time. Those are moments that a lot of people think about for a long time, and in particular because Charlie had a crush, or in this case, the grandpa. The grandpa's name is Jeff, by the way. It's a little hint. My high school nickname in our friend group was Jeff, because the whole meme, Jeff, and that's how that came about. Little Easter egg that I don't think anybody would have seen because I didn't put it in the actual film. But anyway, it spans a lifetime to show that it is a lifetime of love, and the scenes that I did draw out were purely based on what I think everybody deserves. That I do mean everybody. Right. Next. At its core, hope is about trusting the process of becoming who you are. How much of this story reflects lessons you've had to learn yourself? It reflects a lot of lessons that I've had to learn myself. Some lessons had to be repeated quite a bit, and I feel like I've immortalized those lessons now in this story. Love is possible. Yes, you get knocked down a bit, a lot, very often, and you always get back up. And it's okay to pain, it's okay to feel hurt. It's not okay to let that hurt or that fear or that pain rule you. It's not okay to lose the hope, to lose the spark, to lose the hope. Move forward with hope and love, and everything's gonna be fine. Cheers.